Namaste, friends, and a very warm welcome to this explainer. Today, we are embarking on a truly fascinating journey into the architecture of the human heart. We're going to explore exactly how the structural changes inside this vital organ basically dictate our longevity. You see, our daily physical activities are literally remodeling our hearts from the inside out. But right off the bat, let me pose a rather intriguing question to you. Is your workout making your heart incredibly powerful, but secretly completely inefficient? It's a fascinating paradox to consider, isn't it? You might be out there putting in hours of intense sweat and effort, genuinely believing you're building the ultimate engine for a long life, only to find out you're missing half of the equation entirely. Okay, let's dive into this. But just before we unravel the heavy science of how your heart remodels itself, I have a small favor to ask. If you enjoy this kind of deep, structured dive into human biology, please take a quick second to hit that subscribe and like button. It's a fair exchange, and it really helps us keep bringing these longevity secrets straight to you. Part 1, The Tale of Two Hearts. Now, the human heart is a highly adaptable muscle, but the catch is that it adapts in completely opposing ways depending on the specific stress you place upon it. This brilliantly illustrates the two fundamental paths we're exploring today: pressure-dominant remodeling versus volume-dominant remodeling. Basically, when you lift heavy weights, your heart is fighting a high-pressure environment. But when you do aerobic exercise, it's managing a high-volume environment. Let's look closer at that first path in Part 2, the lifting heart. Think about what happens when you step up to a heavy barbell. You're placing an intensely heavy demand on your cardiovascular system. You're generating tremendous force to push blood against massive resistance. Your blood pressure spikes, your vessels constrict tightly, and your heart rate climbs rapidly just to keep blood flowing up to your brain. As our source material so vividly puts it, it's like you trying to push liquid through a skinny straw. Because of this intense, crushing pressure, the heart undergoes a very specific adaptation known as concentric hypertrophy. To handle these brief but intense pressure spikes, the walls of the left ventricle, which is your heart's main pumping chamber, actually thicken inward to generate more force. But here is the absolutely critical trade-off. Thicker walls mean a smaller inner chamber, and a smaller chamber ultimately means less blood volume is pumped out with every single beat. So what's the final result here? Over time, if all you do is lift, your heart adapts beautifully to handle those brief, intense pressure loads. Even your blood vessels thicken and stiffen up slightly to handle the repeated pressure surges. You've built a heart designed for massive raw power, for sure, but not endurance. Now, I want to be super clear, this isn't pathological. It's not a disease. But if you rely exclusively on lifting, it leaves you without the flexible, highly responsive vascular system that we so desperately need for long-term health. Which brings us to Part 3, the cardio heart. Let's completely switch gears now. Contrast that immense tension of a heavy lift with the continuous, free-flowing nature of running, cycling, or swimming. Out there, your muscles demand continuous oxygen. To meet this demand, your body relies on cardiac output, which is simply the total amount of blood your heart pumps per minute. During cardio, this metric shoots up dramatically and stays elevated throughout your entire workout. But here is the absolute magic of the cardio heart. It increases that output not by squeezing harder against a stiff wall of resistance, but by increasing stroke volume. The heart fills much more completely, and it ejects a larger volume of blood with each and every beat. Your blood vessels dilate, blood flows freely, the heart is happily moving high volumes of liquid through very low resistance. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the contrast in how the muscle actually grows. Remember concentric hypertrophy from the weight room, where the walls thicken inward? Well, aerobic training promotes eccentric hypertrophy. Instead of just thickening, the chambers of your heart, especially that hard-working left ventricle, actually expand outward. This grants you a much larger stroke volume and a beautifully efficient pump. To truly grasp the real-world impact of this expanded chamber, let's look at the numbers. Think about resting heart rate. For your average, untrained individual, the heart typically has to beat around 70 times per minute just while they are sitting there doing nothing. But look at this. For an aerobically trained heart, that resting rate drops dramatically, down to 40 to 50 beats per minute and sometimes even lower. Why? Because that expanded chamber we just talked about means every single beat moves so much more blood, the heart simply doesn't have to beat as often to supply your body at rest. And my friends, efficiency matters for longevity.
This massive drop in your resting heart rate is the ultimate indicator of cardiovascular efficiency. A heart that doesn't have to overwork itself, minute by minute, day after day, is directly equipped for a long, healthy life.
So how do we get there? Part 4, training for ultimate longevity.
How do we synthesize all this and build the perfect heart? The source material gives us a very clear, actionable aerobic prescription to ensure we get those volume-dominant adaptations. First, you need to keep your heart rate elevated at roughly 65% of your maximum. You can easily estimate that max by subtracting your age from 220. Second, you must sustain that effort for about 30 to 45 minutes. And third, repeat this for 2 to 3 sessions every week. That is the foundational blueprint to build that essential eccentric hypertrophy.
So the crucial point is this: neither adaptation is best when it stands entirely on its own. To be truly resilient, you need both. Together, resistance training and aerobic training create a heart that is completely durable and immensely powerful. You literally build a machine that can handle the extreme pressure demands of a heavy deadlift, while simultaneously possessing the expanded capacity to pump efficiently and effortlessly for decades to come.
Which leaves us with this final, vital thought. Your heart is an absolute marvel of biological architecture. It has the capacity to lift incredibly heavy and the potential to beat efficiently for decades. But the real question is, are you training it to do both? Evaluate your routine, find that perfect balance, and build a heart for the ages. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope you found it as fascinating as I did. Stay healthy, and I will see you next time.